The other day I did a 25 lot trade. I will post it on my Instagram today after payout that I've got. Once I put the payout through, $7,000 with a 25 lot, and that skyrocket. Like, you just have to know what you're doing. The entry of when you're entering is the key as well. So I try to aim for about 40 pips. 40 pips at a US 30 and NASDAQ, you're going to get that regardless. That's just pretty much half of one candle or one push. And to be quite frank with you, Cam, I've never bought a course. As I said, you have to be a manager of risk. If you can understand how to be a manager of risk, you'll be in this game for a very, very long time. Take it from me. I've lost 15K, plus I've lost $1,000 account here, $400 account here. I've lost challenges in the past, but I've been fortunate to been able to pass many challenges and verification, make money out of it. You blow the account, you reset again, and you go. But now I'm good at what I do. I maintain those accounts.
All right, folks, we've got Marlon DiCaprio in the house, a full-time trader based over there in Brisbane, Australia. We've just actually had a chat before this, and it's ridiculous. He actually lived in the exact same suburb as I did when I was in the UK, and we've worked out that he lived in the exact same street that one of my uncles lived in Sydney, which is just ridiculous in terms of those comparisons, coincidences, should I say. Now, Marlon, to start off with, welcome to the show. And then secondly,
thank you for having me, Cam.
Let's hear your story. How did you get into trading? How did it all start? And let's share some gold with these guys.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so as Cam mentioned, Marlon DiCaprio, I'm from Brisbane, Australia. Thanks for having me once more. Okay, so I started back in 2019 with penny stock. How I got into the game was obviously, everyone wants to make quick, fast money back then, right? I came across penny stock through Steven Dux. He was a Chinese guy from Cincinnati. And I was watching this YouTube video and he was talking like he had $30,000 and he turned it into like $500,000. And I was like, no way, this is too good to be true, So anyway, I started Googling it, start looking up trading. So, okay, let me see what's going on. But with me, I always like to do my research. I don't like to just take things just off face note and just go dive into it. So I started looking into it, research, realized Steven was using TradeZero as well. He was good as well at what he was doing. Start looking at his reports and stuff, and it was all making sense. So I signed up for an account with TradeZero. They were giving 6-to-1 leverage at the time. So as I mentioned before in previous videos, that moving money out of Australia was very, very difficult back in 2019, 2020. So moving money from here, you have to transfer it through the banks over to TradeZero, but coming back from them with the payment, it was quite easy. It's just one transaction and it's here. So moving forward with penny stock was great. The only thing that stopped me from doing penny stock was because of moving money around. It was very, very difficult. And even, for example, if you get a margin call, you can't even transfer money to and take you out of that dip. So it was very difficult. So then I stumbled across Forex with this couple that got married in Sydney. And they said that they made $100,000. I saw it on Sunrise. And they said they made $100,000. I was like, hang on a sec, let me have a look at this. Then it was Forex. Then I dive into it again. Then it started making sense. And then I start investigating the brokers and stuff like that and realized they were quite local. So I said, okay, this makes sense. If they're local, that means I can move money much easier. So then Plus 500 was advertising massively online. So I went with Plus 500. They had some former bonus structure that they had. So, I started playing around with it. I think I transferred $400 over from memory and kick it off. And at the time, I didn't understand what over trading was because I wanted to get their bonuses, right? So I was just over trading at the time and I did get the bonus. And I remember, I think I had the withdrawals and all that as well. But yeah, that's how I started, Cam. That's how I started through penny stock.
So it sounds like you were like profitable out of the gate there with like you hit all the bonus targets and
yeah, it was by luck. Yeah, it was luck, but because I was quite analytical with numbers and understanding, because I did my calculation. If I do 20 trades at $1, I'm thinking, $20 a day, it makes sense, right? And I only just put 400 in. So I was like, I know I have to work it out but if I can do this, it makes sense. So I didn't understand stop loss or take profit. I just know if it goes blue, it's in profit. If it goes red, I know I'm negative, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what I was looking at. But that's how I started. And then, go ahead.
I was going to say, what happened after that? So, what did you did you blow the account? Did you keep it? It sounds like you could have just done that forever and a day.
Yeah, so I remember I had that $400 and I've got the bonus from memory. And then for some unknown reason, I think I went over to IG Australia because they had some form of deal going on at the time. So I signed up another account and I went to IG Australia. And believe it or not, that's how I came across gold through IG Australia. But from memory, I can't remember if they had any leverage. That was another downfall for IG at the moment. But I went over there and I was using pure hard dollars, right, to trade. There wasn't any leverage from memory, and that was a downfall. And then from there, I switched to Pepperstone, right? But yeah, I had a bit of a win streak, but it was all luck but as I mentioned before, because I'm quite analytical, that's probably why I had those win streak. But in saying that, it was all luck until I ended up over to Pepperstone, and then COVID came, and then I had a massive loss of about $15,000 trading gold. So I actually started out trading gold before anything else. Yeah, in saying that, yeah.
Right. Okay. So you had this massive loss, which I suppose no stop loss kind of, eventually it tends to be the way it goes. What did you do after that? How do you pick yourself up after a 15K loss? Hey, start trading Forex indices and commodities with up to 800K of Blue Guardian's capital risk-free. Just pay a small one-time fee to take the challenge, hit a profit target and get funded. Then keep up to 90% of your profits and enjoy fast weekly payouts. Now for futures traders, Blue Guardian Futures offers up to 450K in funding with 100% profit on your first 15K. With low targets, no activation fees and unlimited resets, it's one of the best deals in the industry. Visit blueguardian.com or blueguardianfutures.com to start trading today and grab their limited time discount code.
Okay, so after 15K loss, it was COVID, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to figure this out. I've got a lot of time, I'm at home, I'm not going anywhere, right? So I was searching online to see who was doing what and who was good in the game and what can get the best education from. But I reached out to a specific group out in London, right? Because obviously I'm from London, right? So I reached out to a few people out there and realized what they were doing. And they were doing good based on what they were posting and saying. But their fee was astronomical, man. It was like 5,000 Australian dollars. And I was like, mate, if I'm going to pay $5,000, might as well invest in myself and blow it. I kind of have an idea of what's going on. I'm not that silly. I can read, I can write, I understand numbers. Let me just educate myself. And to be quite frank with you, Cam, I've never bought a course. I've never listened to any of the videos online. I've listened to a few people talking, giving advice. I take a few bits and pieces from a few people online. But to be quite frank with you, I've never bought a course. I've never been in a signal group. I've just always just look at the chart as a painting and just figure it out. To be honest with you, I spent 12 hours a day, every day for the last 4 years, back testing, forward testing with real money, just going all in because I had the time. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to invest in myself. I've lost a lot along the way. And after I lost that $15,000, I buckled down and I said, okay, I'm going to dive into this. I'm going to figure out how this whole thing works. So I had this one strategy was working for me. And then up until today, I'm still using the same strategy. All I've done was just tweak it. Screenshot, tweak it. Losses, wins, tweak it. Just keep tweaking up until this point. Then moving from 2021 to now, I was using a lot of indicators. And my friend, they lag. Indicators, forget it. I only use the EMA 50 and that's it. I don't use no indicator, charts, empty, just straight support and resistance and area of interest. That's all I trade. So to answer your question, how did I move forward from the $15,000? How did I get out of that mindset of that loss? I had to buckle down. I had to study. I had to understand how market moved. I was pretty much up from like 9 a.m. Australian time till New York closed. just working out how this whole thing worked. The candles, I was watching every single candle form and close and just figuring out the structure of how it all goes. And that's how, like, my wife thought I was crazy. She'll be on her way to work and I'm just going to bed.
So just so that I've got an idea here of, like, and other people understand. So did COVID mean that you were, like, out of work and stuff, and that was it? You had it all this time, or
couldn't work? You were locked down.
Yeah, but did you have a job that you had to go and work for, that you were just like?
No. So basically, I had a car dealership before, and I closed down the car dealership, I think, just before COVID, right? So I had a lot of buffer to keep me going. So I wasn't in a rush, and COVID just happened. I was just in the moment of figuring out what my next move was going to be, right? So I was going to do advertising, and then COVID happened. I actually set the company up, ready to go, trademarked the company, everything ready to go, right? And then COVID happened. So what can I do? I can't do nothing because I can't go out. I was going to do digital advertising. I had the whole thing set up. I had my first test run. Everything was good to go. But then COVID happened and I had to figure another way out. And that's when the whole thing came about with this trading. So I said, okay, I've got the time. Lucky. I'm not hurting. So, let's just dive in. And as I mentioned about my wife, because she was one of those people that was needed because she's in the medical field. So she's needed. So she could go out during a period of time. So she was needed during that time. So for me, I was always at home. So as I mentioned before, she's going to work and I'm just going to bed because I was just going all in, just trying to figure it all out. But then I realized after about 6-7 months that these indicators was just throwing me out. I was making mad mistakes with them.
Yeah. So I'm interested in, you mentioned tweaking it, right? So I think this is a big thing that, people can learn a lot from. I mean, I've heard of other traders that have gone through a process of literally throwing, the kitchen sink at it and then just adapting, looking at the numbers, you say you're analytical, take things away, add things in, move this, move that until the profitable strategy or approach emerges. Yeah. Can you talk us through your tweaking process?
Sure, for sure.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below.
Okay, so this is what happens. So let's go back to the indicators, yeah? So I used to listen to the makers of like MACD and all that and how it works and so forth, right? So I was reading and attaching these indicators to the chart. But say, for example, my bias was buy. And then the session opened and all of a sudden it break a structure because I didn't understand the structure. I'm just going by indicator, retest and all that and entry, right? And I'm in for a long, and all of a sudden this thing reversed. Then I take a sell, and then it goes back in my direction. I'm like, hang on a second, what's going on here? Clearly, I'm not doing something right. So these indicators are not working. So I strip all the indicators, start watching those formation of the candles from Australian Open to New York close. Then I'll go back after the markets close and analyze it, each and every candle. And I must say, candle formation, if you can understand what a candle is going to do next, right? So you have your reverse pattern. Always the candle after that change of pattern, that is the candle that you need to focus on and watch out for the breakout from that third candle moving in whichever direction. And that's gold. So going back to tweaking it, I start understand top-down analysis. So I was like, okay, first thing first, I need to understand what my direction is for the day. Okay, my direction is bullish. Okay, let's do that. I'm just only going to focus on buy, right? And my thing was, okay, I started with break of a structure. When I first started my strategy, just break and take the entry, right? And just in and out, right? But then I realized that what happened if it breaks and it retests, it pull back straight on you, could hit your stop loss, right? So I worked out and I said to myself, okay, I need to that happened to me a couple of times. I said, okay, I need to tweak this. I need to work out how am I going to override this by not get my stop loss hit, right? So then I realized that I have to wait for the break and retest of that structure. So then I tweak it a bit more. Then I said to myself, okay, I used to do the 15-minute and the 1 hour, and that used to fake me out a lot on the 15 minutes. So for now, I never ever use 15-minute or 5-minute as a structure. I only focus on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. I'm looking for my entry first on the 1 hour, and to mitigate my risk, I go down to the 5 minute so that I can have a much shorter stop loss. And that's how I tweak it over time. Because Cam, it's all this whole trading thing. After a number of years, I've worked out it's not about the strategy. It's all about you have to be a manager of risk. If you can be a manager of risk, your strategy could be 80%, and your risk is out the door. You will not make $1. But if your risk is on point, right, your strategy could be 50%, and you're making money. You're cashing in every day. It could be 40%, it could be 30%, because those limits of you being 50 or 80%, right? It's all relative, because your risk to reward could be 2 to 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but you know what I mean? Your levels could be down to in the 30s or the 40s. So it's all relative to me, right? But you have to be a manager of risk. That's the key to trading. If you
in your mind, what is a risk manager? What are the types of things that you do to consider yourself a risk manager?
Okay, so say for example, I have a 10,000. Let's say we have $1,000 account. Yeah. All right. You now know that you want to make $200 per week on that account. You first have to work out in your head, right? What are you trying to achieve? That's your first goal, right? What am I trying to achieve? $200? Okay, I need to have a lot size of this much. I need to be risking this much. Okay, so for I'm a firm believer in 2-to-1 ratio, right? So if I'm risking $1, I need to make 2. So even if I make a loss, I'm still in positive at the end of the week. I'm not looking at a daily goal. I'm looking at a weekly goal and a monthly goal. That's how I'm looking at it. So if you can if you can work out your risk of 2-to-1, 2 to 3 for a new trade is a bit risky. 2 to 4, 2 to 5 is a bit risky. You need to start working out maybe 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and keep scaling up in that sense. But if you're trying to go for the long shot, mate, it's not going to work out for you being a new trader. So it takes time. You have to first manage risk. Right. And first of all, psychology is, that's another.
So just stay on the risk topic. I mean, are you exiting trades in a loss that isn't your full loss? I.e., if you're risking 1%, are you exiting at 0.5% loss at any stages?
Okay. Yes. So say, for example, if I have, let's go back to $1,000, I'm risking $10. Yeah. For example, right. Say I'm risking $1, for example, right? If I realize the trade is going against me, yes, I am getting out before that $1 get hit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Hey folks, just jumping in here quickly. Now, if you're looking to trade dynamically, you want to learn from my own trading mentor, JJ, then what you need to do is click the link in the description, register your interest, because we're going to be launching this Dynamic Traders Club very soon and you don't want to miss out. All right, let's dive back in. And how often would you do that?
Currently or in the past?
Currently.
Okay, currently, if I'm in a trade, now I'm a bit more professional in that sense. So my entry are quite precise, right? So the only time this would probably happen is if news is coming out and I'm in a trade during the London session, right? Yeah. That's when it'll probably come against me because it's trying to retest that level. So that's when I know get out for now, save that 0.5%, and then re-enter, and then at least I still got that 0.5% to run with. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a quick example. The other day I did a 25 lot trade on FTMO, and I only risked $250. You could call that a sniper entry. I walk out of that trade with $7,000.
Right. Right. So you risked
You know what I mean?
250 and it was a $7,000 winner.
250. I've got it. I will post it on my Instagram today of the payout that I've got once I put the payout through, right? $7,000 with a 25 lot, right? And that like skyrocket. Like you just have to know what you're doing. The entry of when you're entering is the key as well. Because I've noticed a lot of people, they're always getting, as soon as New York market open or London open, you have to give the market time to breathe. You know what I mean? You can't just get in. The market will wipe you out. There's a specific time that you need to enter and there's a specific time that you need to get out. And you can't be, the longer you're in the market, the more they're going to manipulate you. So you need to be in and out. So for me, it's one session, one entry, but you can have multiple position and scaling, right? So you have to be precise in what you are doing. But as I mentioned, this takes time. It took me 4 years to understand this and being on the charts for like 12 hours a day. So it's not like it just came overnight. I've had a fair few losses, you know what I mean? So through discipline,
I was going to say, so you talked about New York session, one session, that's you in and out. I mean, you're in the same time zone as me. Have you ever been tempted to trade Asia or London? And why not?
Asia is out of the topic. I don't touch it. The only way I'll end up in the Asia session is if I have a late entry in New York and it takes me over into Asia session and I know it's going to push, right? So what I'll do is if I'm in profit in New York session, I'll take about 50 to 70% of my profit, sometimes 80%, move the stop loss to break even and let it run through the Asia all the way. Just before London open, I'll close the trade. Because London has got a way of testing new highs and new lows. So you have to be careful, right? So I get out just before London open, but I stay away from the London session. Gold, I will trade during London session sometimes, but to be quite frank with you, I'm more profitable during New York session. So it's tricky for
I was going to say, for the guys, sorry for interrupting, but for the guys that are in Australia and who work a full day, and you're obviously, New York session's opening at about 10 o'clock at night, I'm guessing.
Correct, yeah. Right.
How do you manage it so that you're at your peak performance at that time of day when a lot of people have, they're absolutely spent. They've just been up at 7 and done a whole bunch of stuff. How do you make sure you're on point?
Okay, I say this to say that how badly do you want it, right? Whether you work a full day or not, how badly do you want it? Do you want that freedom? Because if you keep having those things of, I've worked a full day, I'm tired, I'm this, mate, you're never going to get there, right? So for me, how I manage that, obviously I'm married, I've got kids, I've got to have a balanced lifestyle, right? So for me, basically, I make sure I'm napping throughout those time period, right? And make sure that I get up and just to answer this as well, I only look at the chart for New York session at 9 o'clock a.m., 9 a.m. New York session. I don't care about what happened before that, right? But then I go back and look at my London highs and lows, and then I mark my structured area of interest. And then that's when I'm looking to enter the market. But to go back and answer your question, how do I, say, for example, someone who's doing a 9 to 5 and they want to trade the New York session, how do they do that? Well, they have to work out with their partners, if they're married or they're single, whichever way they're going, I'm not quite sure. You work out your lifestyle. Say, okay, I'm going to trade Monday to Wednesday or 3 days out of the week. I need to be at my peak performance by coming home from work, having a nap, whether you go to the gym or whatever you do, I don't know. But make sure you get about an hour rest, and then you jump on the chart and then work out what you're going to be doing throughout the New York session. You should know if you're going to be in the market for an hour or two, depending on market movements, or depending on what the market's given on that day. If the market's not moving in your way, you just call it a day, you go to bed. But to answer your question, you need to have a plan each and every month, each and every week. And if you know you're too busy, your schedule's too busy, do not trade, because trading is a different animal. If your mind's not locked into the chart, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to lose money. So it's best you don't trade. Or For me, a lot of people say don't trade Monday, don't trade Fridays. Most of the big days I've had is on Mondays and Fridays, right? I don't like trading on a Thursday. It's a little bit of a if and go, but it's every day. If there's an opportunity, I'm going to take it. But going back to answer your question, just work out your schedule and lock in.
So what would be the latest you'd go to bed on a regular basis? Like, say, if you're an average.
I normally go to bed around about 2:30 a.m. ish. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
it is kind of it is a full like session that you're sitting through almost. Even though New York starts a little bit earlier. And for anyone that doesn't know, like typically, and I'm just throwing this out there because typically based on the guys I know over there in your part of the world, Brisbane, Gold Coast, that kind of area, they all go to bed early, like 9 o'clock, and get up super early, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. So you are definitely the outlier here. And I suppose that affects like social life and all that sort of thing outside of trading.
Oh, you mean my social life? No, mate.
Yeah.
My social life, I'm on point. No.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Because I'm up at like 6:30, so I'm napping through the day and having that session. But on the weekends, I'm getting my full sessions. Yeah. Now I'm fresh, man. I'm up.
Okay.
I'm up like
Okay.
7.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So you're still up early as well. Hey, look. So that's
no
what it takes, folks.
in.
That's the commitment and the I suppose going the extra mile to make sure you're there at the charts. So, Marlon, you talked about psychology and how risk management was number one, psychology was number two. I mean, what were some of the battles you had?
Risk management was one of the painful moments throughout my whole trading, right? Blowing accounts was actually over leveraging is, oh man.
And this was psychological, yeah? You wanted to get the get rich quick kind of thing.
Exactly. So want to get rich quick, trying to push the account to the limit, and obviously you're going to get a margin call. Just over leveraging, man, and not knowing what you're doing is a pitfall. So you need to work out what your risk is before you get in a trade. So I basically work out how much I'm going to risk, right? Half an hour before the session opens, because I already work out where my stop's going to be at, because I already see market structure. So I know where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out. I know where my stop loss is going to be at. I know how much I'm risking, and that's it.
So when you say that, like, so do you have a variation of how much you risk? So if you find a setup that looks better than another one, would you potentially risk more of your account?
Yes, sure, for sure. So the smaller my stop loss, the heavier the lot.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going by stop loss. So if my stop loss is quite wide, I'm lowering my lot size all the way down to like 3.7, 2.5, 1.25. I break it up based on how much my take profit is. I'm breaking down my lot size. So there's a bit of a calculation that goes into it, and that's how I work it out. I know how much movements is going to be in the market. So I try to aim for about 40 pips. 40 pips at a US 30 and NASDAQ, you're going to get that regardless, right? That's just pretty much half of one candle or one push, right? So if you're aiming for that and risking about, say, 10 pips, you're good to go. But you have to you're not going to get a sniper entry all the time. Sometimes your stop loss is going to be quite wide. So you have to adjust your lot size accordingly. Okay. As I gave you the example of the trade that I took on the FTMO account of the 25 lot, is that I was watching that play out for quite some time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get this right at this point. And I did. I got in, 250 stop loss, bang. As soon as I was in like 50 pips, I break even stop loss. And that's it. It just ran all the way.
Yeah.
And I just got out.
I mean, a lot of new traders out there listening. If you're new and listening, you're probably not aware of the cost of that. Like that 25 lot trade with a tight stop, that stop gets hit, and you're paying commission up the wazoo. Yeah. So that's the cost of it not working out. So it's not just whatever the amount was, $250. It's $250 plus the commission on a 25 lot trade, which could be, I don't know, could be like $40 or something like that. Is that about right?
Yeah.
So your 250 is in fact more like $300, and it kind of throws everything out. Now, do you actually use a percentage of your account to risk, or are you just sort of, it's a very percentage, a dollar value? Oh, okay.
Dollar value. Yeah. I'll only go by dollar value because I don't know. I'm just thinking about how much I want to make, and I'm just thinking about how much I want to lose. So I'm just thinking dollar value. Let's just go with the dollar value. It's just easier instead of doing pip counts. You know what I mean? So I just say, okay, I'm risking 500 to make, $1,000.
Yeah.
That's it. I hit that marker and I'm out for the day. I come back tomorrow. Let's go again.
Okay, so you talked about like you talked about the risk being the hardest thing for you to get over a psychological hurdle of. I mean, what was the thing that finally clinched it for you?
All the losses. You keep getting losses.
At what point was all the losses? When did it stop? I.e., when were you like, this is enough's enough?
Loss.
Right.
After
okay.
50K loss. After that was a big hit. That was a big hit. Yeah, that was a big hit. And to recoup from that, I knew straight away, okay, I know the game was real and I know the money was there. So for me to get that 15K back, I'm going to have to be super disciplined now. So that's when discipline came in. I never switched. So what I had to work out, which session worked for me. London never really worked for me at all. I used to make money in New York session and then I go back in London session and I lose it. So I said, that's the reason why I don't do London. So I very rare I get into London unless I see a really good move in London and I know it's going to be, plummet down. I'll jump in on that, right? But I trade. I'd love to trade London because it's in sync with Australian time, but New York session always pay me every day. Gold, whatever it may be, it always pays out. But it doesn't work for me in London session, so I just stick to what I know. So to answer your question, when did I change? Is when I had that 15K loss.
Yeah. So that's interesting because is it because the New York session, and I'm saying this because I kind of see this myself, it will do the actual move of the day will happen in that session versus like Asia, they try, it never works out. London, they just screw everyone over because there's too many parties coming in, and then New York, they're like, right, the day needs to close at the end of the New York session, so we need to get to this point because this is what the prior days told us. So to do that, we need to actually make the move. Hence why you can enter that trade and leave your take profit in and go, right, I can be confident that will get hit versus having to manage it candle by candle.
You've nailed it. You've nailed it.
Okay, right.
New York has got the volatility. It's gonna go. You see this. You remember what I was saying before that you must mark where you're gonna enter and where you're gonna get out. So you can't be too early in New York session because you will hit your stop loss. So there's a specific time that you must enter during the New York session, and I can't say that. If you want to know, you gotta come and see me, right? But there's a specific time to enter. There is. If you notice, most of the time, they will wick out a little bit, maybe 30, 40 pips and take your stop loss out. There's a reason why. And I've worked it out over time. There's a specific time to enter.
Okay.
But the volatility is in the New York session. There is 1,000%. And I've tested it over and over and over again. And this is what I got to say. I leave this gem with you. During New York session, you're guaranteed to get 40 pips minimum.
Right.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. If you know what you're doing, in and out, and you're not greedy, you're guaranteed to get 40 pips. And I guarantee if you go back and look at most traders that used to trade currency, now they're trading US 30 and NASDAQ, you realize how much money they've made compared to when they were trading currency. Because NASDAQ and US 30 or NAS 100 and US 30, they move very quick. So you can hit that 40 pips in no time.
Yeah. So with all these markets, are you looking for ones that are giving you a setup at this point in time?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. I look at gold, right? US 30 and NAS 100. I started out with NAS 100, so I understand that pair a lot, right? US 30 is the same, right? But I'm mainly focused on NAS 100 because I've been trading that for a very, very long time. So I know how it moves. It's very temperamental. You have to know what you're doing. It will wipe your account out. You have to know what you're doing. The US 30 is the same. You got to be a pro Gold is, mate, you got to be super careful with gold. That will wipe your account as well. So
What about prop firms? So you've used a few prop firms in your day. Have you got any advice for anyone thinking about going into using a prop firm? What would be that advice?
my advice to you, if you're going to go to a prop firm, first of all, for them to give you their capital, they want to see you demonstrate that you know what you're doing. Rule number one. Rule number two, do not go into the prop trade field thinking that it's a get-rich scheme. They've got their levels over there that you must maintain. They're very strict in how they do things. Even now, after the last couple of years, a lot of things have changed, right? Just you have to be super disciplined. Okay, so if you're trying to go over there to pass an account in a day, don't do it. It's best. My take on this is that you try allocate yourself 10 days to pass the challenge, another 10 days to pass the verification. If it happens before that, no problem. So give yourself 20 days, 20 trading days to pass both the challenge and the verification. Just take your time with it, man, because once you hit the funded stage and then you work out to yourself, okay, I've got a 100 grand account. I want to make, say, 2.5% a week. Mate, it's possible. You just got to just lock in, be super disciplined, and just keep it moving. That's it.
Cool.
Just be disciplined.
Now, were there any questions that you wish I'd asked you today that I didn't, that you think would be great to give an answer to?
No, we've pretty much touched everything that needed to be touched, because we spoke about risk management, which is key, psychology, which is key. If you, as I said, you have to be a manager of risk. If you can understand how to be a manager of risk, you'll be in this game for a very, very long time. And take it from me, I've lost 15K, plus I've lost $1,000 account here, $400 account here. I've lost challenges in the past, but I've been fortunate to been able to pass many challenges and verification, make money out of it. You blow the account, you reset again, and you go. But now I'm good at what I do. I maintain those accounts, so I don't lose. You know, there may be a stat that people lose their account within a certain time frame. I've managed to keep all my accounts because I've been super disciplined and how I do things. So if I've got like 3 different accounts with one prop firm, because I've got max allocation, so I just trade. I never come by my account. I keep them separate. So say, for example, if I was to hit the drawdown on one, right, I just reset, go back, trade one, get my confidence back, go back to the other one, recoup, and go again.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And what about the future? I mean, have you got any plans for where to go next, what to do next, or are you happy to stay where you are?
There's always room for improvement. You can never stay where you are. So for me, yeah, I'm always looking to, branch out. But with me, I always calculate my steps. I never do anything in a rush. I just play it by ear, to be honest with you. Whatever the next move is, I just work on time and precision. But yeah, there's always room for improvement, Cam. So I just take it one day at a time. Currently, it's for me, it's all about investment, in crypto, real estate, if that was the question. But that's where I'm at, venturing off in that direction. So, but everything, I take it with a grain of salt and just take one step at a time. I'm never in a rush. Always,
awesome.
Super disciplined with it. Yeah.
And if you had to give one piece of advice to leave the listeners with, what would it be?
Persistence beat resistance, right? Stay focused, stay motivated, never give up. If you want it badly, you got to go get it, because it's not going to come to you. Trading will set you free, but you have to put the work in, stay super disciplined. And yeah, that's what got me here now. And yeah, so just stay disciplined. That's it.
Well, look, that's a fantastic piece of advice to leave the interview on. Now, Marlon, we're going to jump into a price chart in a minute and see what you do on the chart. But for now, what's the best way for traders to find out more about you?
Sure. Well, I just started building my YouTube channel. I don't really have much time to do it, but you can reach me at Official Indice Geek on Instagram. That's my main communication on social media, so you can definitely reach me there. Yeah, and that's it. Just DM me, whatever you need. I'm here.
Fantastic. Well, folks, what we'll do is hook that up underneath this video. So go and check that link there. And whilst you're there, hit subscribe, like, and that notifications bell. And we'll see you in his charting video, which we're just about to record. There should be a link somewhere up here very soon.